की जय।
जय।
ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।
जय।
अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय।
जय।
नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय।
जय।
प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय।
जय।
श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय।
जय।
ब्रज भूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय।
जय।
नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय।
जय।
पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय।
जय।
जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की जय।
जय।
गंगा माई की जय।
जय।
यमुना माई की जय।
जय।
तुलसी महारानी की जय।
जय।
भक्ति देवी की जय।
जय।
ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय।
जय।
समवेत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय।
जय।
निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि
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 बोल।
बोल। All glories to assembled devotees.
हरे कृष्णा।
All glories to assembled devotees.
हरे कृष्णा।
All glories to assembled
हरे
devotees.
कृष्णा।
All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणी। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
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 ओम नमो भगवते
वासुदेवाय।
नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेष्व भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवत्युत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। श्रीमद् भागवतम हरे कृष्ण। श्रीमद् भागवतम कैंटो 3 चैप्टर 21 टेक्स्ट नंबर 11। We'll share the screen in a minute. विन्यस्ताचरणाम्भोजम् अंशदेशे गरुत्मतः दृष्ट्वा खेवस्थितं वक्षः श्रियं कौस्तुभकन्धरम्। विन्यस्ताचरणाम्भोजम् अंशदेशे गरुत्मतः दृष्ट्वा खेवस्थितं वक्षः श्रियं कौस्तुभकन्धरम्। विन्यस्ताचरणाम्भोजम् अंशदेशे गरुत्मतः दृष्ट्वा खेवस्थितं वक्षः श्रियं कौस्तुभकन्धरम्। This chant.
विन्यस्त्याचरणाम्भोजम् अंसदेशे देशे गरुत्मतः दृष्ट्वा के वसितं वक्षः श्रियं कौस्तुभकन्धरम्। हरे कृष्ण।
हरे कृष्ण। विन्यस्ताचरणाम्बोजम् अंशदेशे गरुत्मतः दृष्ट्वा के अवस्थितं वक्षः श्रियं कौस्तुभकन्धरम्. हरे कृष्ण. Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Vinyastachanambojam hamsadese garumatah trisvakevastitam vaksha shriyam kaustubhakandaram.
Anyone else? Okay. Shall we do word-to-word translation? Vinyasta, having been placed. Charana ambojam, lotus feet. Amshadeshe, on the shoulders. Garutmataha, of Garuda. Drishtva, having seen. Khe, in the air. Avasthitam, standing. Vakshaha, on his chest. Shriyam, auspicious mark. Kaustubha, the Kaustubha gem. Kandharam, neck. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Abhay Charanarvinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. A golden streak on his chest, the famous Kaustubha gem suspended from his neck. He stood in the air with his lotus feet placed on the shoulders of Garuda. A golden streak on his chest, a famous Kaustubha gem suspended from his neck. He stood in the air with his lotus feet placed on the shoulders of Garuda. Purport. The descriptions in verses 9 to 11 of the Lord in his transcendental eternal form are understood to be descriptions from the authoritative Vedic version. These descriptions are certainly not the imagination of Kardama Muni. The decorations of the Lord are beyond material conception, as admitted even by impersonalists like Shankaracharya. Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, has nothing to do with the material creation. The varieties of the Transcendental Lord, his body, his form, his dress, his instruction, his words, are not manufactured by the material energy, but are all confirmed in the Vedic literature. By performance of yoga, Kardama Muni actually saw the Supreme Lord as he is. There was no point in seeing an imagined form of God after practicing yoga for 10,000 years. The perfection of yoga, therefore, does not terminate in voidness or impersonalism. On the contrary, the perfection of yoga is attained when one actually sees the personality of Godhead in his eternal form. The process of Krishna consciousness is to deliver the form of Krishna directly. The form of Krishna is described in the authoritative Vedic literature, Brahma Samhita. His abode is made of Chintamani stone, and the Lord plays there as a cowherd boy and is served by many thousands of gopis. These descriptions are authoritative, and a Krishna conscious person takes them directly, acts on them, preaches them, and practices devotional service as enjoined in the authoritative scriptures. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Padakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Thank you all for joining in for the Srimad Bhagavatam class at ISKCON Philadelphia. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 21, entitled Conversation between Manu and Kardama. So in this chapter, Vidura is speaking to Maitreya Muni, and he asks some questions. So what we read in the previous chapter was about Brahmaji's creation. Actually, we heard about Brahmaji's creation in chapters 10, 12, 13. And then after that, we read about Varahadev for several chapters and the history of Hiranyaksha, how Jai Vijay fell down and all that. Not fell down, but how Jai Vijay came to this world. And once again, in the 20th chapter, the previous chapter, we went back to the creation by Brahmaji, if you remember. Now, at the end of the 20th chapter, we hear that Brahmaji created Rakshasas, Asuras, Devatas, Asuras, Rakshasas, like that, the different species that were created. So first he would get a bhava, a feeling, and based on that, a particular species was created. After hearing this, Vidura asked further questions in this chapter. So Manu had created, from Manu onwards, the creation proceeded through sexual intercourse. Before Manu, Brahmaji created from his body directly. But after he created Manu, now the creation continued further through the union of male and female. Vidurji is asking how that creation proceeded further, how it continued. So, in Srimad Bhagavatam, we have 10 topics that are discussed. Sarga, Visarga, Sthanam, Poshanam, Utayaha, Manvantara, Ishanukatha, Nirodha, Mukti and Ashraya. These are 10 topics. So, Manvantara means what are the different Manvantaras? The time periods in one day of Brahma. Then in each Manvantara, you hear about Manu. Who is the Manu? And who is the Manvantara avatar like that? So Srimad Bhagavatam is also describing Manu and Manu's dynasty. In the very first Manvantara, Manu is Swayambhuva Manu. So Swayambhuva Manu's dynasty's explanation begins from this chapter. And this will continue. So Swayambhuva Manu had 3 daughters and 2 sons. The daughters are Akuti, Prasuti, Devahuti, and the sons are, who are the sons?
Priyavrat and Uttanpad.
Yes,
Yes.
Uttanpad and Priyavrat Maharaj. Yes, Priyavrat and Uttanpad are the sons. So about Uttanpad and his descendants, we will see in the 4th canto. And also about the other 2 daughters, Akuti and Prasuti. Their descendants we will see also in the 4th canto. Priyavrat Maharaj's descendants we will see in the 5th canto. In the 3rd canto, we are going to see Devahuti, the daughter of Swayambhuva Manu. So of the 3 daughters, 1 daughter, Devahuti, we are going to read about her. So Vidura is inquiring about the descendants of Manu, Swayambhuva Manu. What did he say? The line of Swayambhuva Manu was most esteemed. I beg you to please give an account of this race, whose progeny multiplied through sexual intercourse. Why he is asking? Is he just interested in the lineage? Actually, Swayambhuva Manu is a great devotee of the Supreme Lord. And so his descendants are also not ordinary. So he's asking about the descendants. So his questions were, you mentioned about the daughter named Devahuti as being the wife of Kardama Muni. How many children did Kardama Muni have through Devahuti? And Devahuti was also actually a yogini. Kardama Muni was a yogi and Devahuti was also a yogini. So how did, because usually yogi, yogini means they are, why would they be interested in, marrying and procreating? How did they come together? How did it all happen? Huh? And also tell me how about the other descendants. So that we will see in the next canto. So when he asked this question, Maitreya Muni began to explain. that Lord Brahma is a Prajapati. Now he has this task of filling this universe with population. So he commanded Kardama Muni to beget children. So in order to do that, Kardama Muni worshipped the Supreme Lord by performing tapasya on the bank of the river Saraswati. For how long? For how long did Kardama Muni perform tapasya?
1,000.
10,000 years. 10,000. Yes.
Yeah.
So during that period, he worshipped. Not only did he perform tapasya, he was also worshipping. He was meditating on the Lord. He was doing different things actually. Ashtanga yoga. And he was also worshipping the Lord, or worshipping the deity. And by this, he was able to satisfy the Lord, please the Lord. And very quickly, he got benedictions from the Lord. So then, the Lord actually appeared in front of Kardama Muni. After 10,000 years of his sadhana, he actually got darshan of the Lord. So when the Lord appeared in front of Kardama Muni, how did he appear? That is being described here. So in 3 verses, 9, 10 and 11, we see the description of the Lord. So today's verse is 11. So the previous 2 verses also described how the Lord appeared. How did he see the Lord? The Lord was in his eternal form, which was free from material contamination, which was effulgent like the sun. He was wearing a garland of white lotuses and water lilies. He was wearing spotless yellow silk garments. And his beautiful lotus face was fringed with locks of curly hair, dark locks of curly hair. He had a crown and earrings, and he carried Shankh Chakra Gada and a white lily. It doesn't say lotus. So he had the conch, disc, mace, and a white lily in his 4th hand. And he was glancing in a happy, smiling mood. And in this way, captivating the hearts of his devotees. And today's verse says that there's a golden streak on his chest and the famous Kaustuba gem suspended from his neck. And how was he standing? He was standing in the air on the shoulders of Garuda. So here, it's interesting. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada is saying that the form that Kardama Muni is seeing is exactly as it is described in authoritative scriptures. The form that saw, as we saw the description in these 3 verses, this is exactly as described in the scriptures, Shastra. These descriptions are not the imagination of Kardama Muni. Sometimes people think, or they say, that because human beings have 2 hands, 2 legs and 1 head, they imagine the Supreme to be like the human being. This is false. The Supreme Lord's form is not an imagined form. His is the original form. We are, the human beings have a form like the Supreme Lord. It's not the other way around. So the important point here is the Lord's form is not an imagined form. It is a transcendental form, and the description is given in the Shastras. And Srila Prabhupada is saying that it is even admitted by the impersonalists like Shankaracharya that the Lord's decorations are beyond material conception. You know what is the understanding of the impersonalists, especially? In impersonalists, you have two types. I will draw. Just give me 1 second. Okay. Okay. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd canto, 21st chapter, text 11. So I'm saying that the impersonalists, when you say impersonalists, are of two types. One is called Brahmavadi, and the other is called Mayavadi. What do you mean by Brahmavadi? Brahmavadi is, you can also call them a Jnani, and Mayavadi. Does anyone know what's the difference between a Brahmavadi and Mayavadi? Do you know what's the difference between a Brahmavadi and Mayavadi?
Okay, the Brahmavadi, they just believe God is a light, like a Brahman. They merge into God. And the Mayavadi, they think that everything is illusion, this world.
Okay.
There's no
So
God.
there is no God.
Yeah.
Brahmavadis, oh sorry,
Go ahead, Mataji.
Brahmavadis, they believe on the form of God also, but their goal is to merge in the Supreme Lord. I mean, the effulgence of the Lords as Sayujya Mukti. Mayavadis, they reject the form of Lord as considered made up of elements of material nature, Maya. So that's why Mayavadis are Krishna Aparadhis, because they reject the idols or the forms of Krishna as elements of material nature.
Yes, yes, Mataji. Thank you. So, Brahmavadi, like Mataji said, their goal is, so before that, I'll have to show you something else here. This is the absolute truth. Absolute truth can be realized in two ways. One is impersonal and the other is personal form. Impersonal form, you call it nirvishesha. Nirvishesha means without any qualities. And personal means savishesha. Absolute truth can be realized in two ways, without qualities and with qualities. And the path that one takes, the path that one has to follow in order to realize the absolute truth in an impersonal form is known as Jnana Yoga. And the path that one has to follow in order to realize the absolute truth with qualities is known as Bhakti Yoga. And for somebody to take to the path of Jnana Yoga, he needs a qualification. Similarly, for someone to take to the path of Bhakti Yoga also, he needs a qualification. This is like an entry gate. Unless you pass, you have this qualification, you cannot enter into Jnana Yoga. Similarly, unless you have the qualification for Bhakti Yoga, you cannot enter. What about those who don't get that qualification yet? Then they have another yoga called Karma Yoga. Until you get the qualification to enter into either Jnana Yoga or Bhakti Yoga, you'll have to do Karma Yoga. So Krishna tells in Uddhav Gita, 11th canto, 20th chapter, text 6 to 9. So in text 6, Krishna says that he has given 3 paths. What are they? Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and one who doesn't have qualification for either of these has to do Karma Yoga. There are only 3 paths that Krishna has given. Okay? Why I am saying this is, Jnana Yoga is a bona fide path. It's not, so this Jnana Yoga is the path given by Krishna. There's nothing wrong with that path. One who wants to realize the absolute truth in an impersonal form, he has to take to the path of Jnana. So they are known as Brahmavadis. Here I have written, right, Brahmavadi and Mayavadi. So this Jnana Yoga, one who follows Jnana Yoga, he is called Brahmavadi. He will realize the absolute truth. So we know that absolute truth can be realized as, what are the 3 forms in which you can realize absolute truth?
I think Paramatma, Brahman, and
Yes.
Bhagwan.
Correct. Brahman, Paramatma,
And Bhagavan.
and Bhagavan. Brahman and Paramatma realizations are partial realization. Bhagavan realization is complete realization. So really, when you say absolute truth, it's nothing but Krishna. So when one takes to Jnana Marga and realizes the absolute truth as Brahman, that's a bona fide path. There's no problem with that. So the Jnani, his ultimate goal is to realize Brahman, to go and merge into Brahman. But does he reject Bhagavan? Does he consider Bhagavan to be material? No. He will accept Bhagavan's body to be transcendental, as it is described in Shastra. The way the Lord's body, like Krishna says, Janma karma chame divyam. That means my birth, my activities are transcendental. His body is transcendental. A jnani, this jnani will not say, or he will not think that Bhagavan is, his body is material. He will accept the form of, he will accept Paramatma, he will accept Bhagavan, he will accept Brahman. However, his attraction is for Brahman. His goal is, he is only interested in Brahman. You may wonder why he is only interested in Brahman. Because that's the association he got. We all got devotees association. So from devotees we understood that the ultimate goal is Bhagavan. But a jnani, someone who gets a jnani's association, he will hear from day one that the absolute truth ultimately is Brahman. And that's what he wants. He'll get that type of training and understanding, and he will be studying Upanishads from the beginning. In the Upanishads, absolute truth is shown as Brahman. So therefore, even though he understands and he accepts Bhagavan to be transcendental, his goal is Brahman. So there is no offense. He doesn't commit any offense. Therefore, he'll get his ultimate goal. He'll get Brahman realization and he'll go and merge into Brahman. Now, if we look at Mayavadis, if you want to look at Mayavadis now, who are Mayavadis? As the very word suggests, Maya, Vadi, right? They accept Brahma Satyam, Jagat Mithya. That means only Brahman is true and everything else, this world is false, they say. What is their understanding of the Supreme Lord? So they see in the entire creation, they see two. One is Ishvara and the other is Jiva. In this material world, they see two forms, Ishvara and Jiva. Ishvara means the controller. So, Shiva, Durga, Ganesh, Surya, Vishnu, like this. They're all Ishvara. And Jiva means all of us, animals, humans, trees, etc. Jiva and Ishvara. This is Mayavadi's understanding. Then what is the difference? They are saying his understanding is ultimately there's only Brahman. Everything else is Maya. Right? Brahman is or absolute truth means Brahman. Okay? Absolute truth is Brahman. Everything else is Maya. Everything else is Maya. So what is his understanding of Ishvara? That's our point here. What is his understanding of Ishvara and Jiva? So Ishvara means, you see, this is Brahman. Absolute truth, Brahman. Okay? Maya has two components. Maya has two components. What are they? What are the two components of Maya?
Vidya and Avidya, Mataji.
Yes, Vidya and Avidya. These are the two components. So when this Brahman is reflected on Vidya, this is Vidya. When Brahman is reflected on Vidya, then that Brahman appears as Ishvara. Brahman appears as Ishvara. When Brahman is reflected on Vidya, Brahman appears as Ishvara. What is Vidya made of? Mode of goodness, material world, right? So Vidya, Avidya are Maya's components. Maya is made of 3 modes. So Vidya is goodness, Avidya is passion and ignorance. Okay? So when Brahman reflects on Vidya, then that Brahman appears as Ishvara. Ishvara means here, Lord Shiva, Durga Devi, Ganesha, Surya, Lord Vishnu, like this. This is Ishvara. When Brahman reflects on Vidya, Brahman appears like Ishvara. So Ishvara is made of what? Ishvara's body is made of Vidya, goodness. Ishvara's body is made of goodness. And the same Brahman, when it is reflected on, when you say Avidya, there are different antahkaranas. Antahkarana means subtle body. Different antahkaranas that are made of avidya. These antahkaranas are made of avidya. Like I have one subtle body, you have one subtle body means made of mind, intelligence, ego, false ego, chitta, senses. So my subtle body is different than yours, hers, his. Everybody has a different antahkarana. So these antakaranas are made of what? Avidya, passion and ignorance. When this Brahman reflects on avidya, then it appears as Archana, Madhavi Gaurangi, or Amala Gauranga, or Vindhyavali, like that. You understand? This is Mayavadi philosophy. When Brahman reflects on different antakaranas, then that Brahman appears in so many different forms. Or you can say cat, tree, mosquito, like that. That means this antakarana, when Brahman is reflecting on this antakarana, now that is appearing as these different forms. So whatever forms you see in this world, they are all material forms. And these material forms are of 2 types. One is made of goodness and the other is made of passion and ignorance. Avidya means it's made of passion and ignorance. So Mayavadi's understanding is there are 2 types. One is Ishvara and the other is Jiva. Jiva means all of us, conditioned souls. And Jiva is made of mode of passion and ignorance. The body of the Jiva is made of passion and ignorance. The body of Ishvara is made of goodness. Ultimately, there's only one truth, that is Brahman. When that Brahman is reflected on, so one more thing. So if you want to know the terminology they use, Ishvara is Vidya Pratibimbita Chaitanyam. Vidya Pratibimbita Chaitanyam. And then Jiva is Antahkarana Pratibimbita Chaitanyam. Antahkarana Pratibimbita Chaitanyam. Antahkarana means what? Subtle bodies. There are different subtle bodies. So when that Brahman reflects on different subtle bodies, it appears in different forms. Okay. Now, what does this mean? Pratibimba means reflection, just like you have a mirror. This is the person. And this is his reflection in the mirror. Okay? This is the actual person. And this is his reflection in the mirror. If you break this mirror, will this reflection stay?
No.
No. So their philosophy is just break this mirror. Mirror is what?
Reflection.
Avidya
Vidya.
and Vidya.
Hmm.
So they do it in stages. First you destroy avidya,
Yes.
and you replace this avidya with vidya. How do you do that? You have to do Nishkama Karma Yoga. By doing Nishkama Karma Yoga, you will destroy avidya and replace that avidya with vidya. That means this is this covered with avidya. By doing Nishkama Karma Yoga, this avidya will be now replaced with vidya. Avidya will be destroyed and then it will be replaced with vidya by doing Nishkama Karma Yoga. So now when somebody does Nishkama Karma Yoga and gets vidya, they start addressing each other as Namo Narayanaya. Why? Because now you are made of
Yes.
vidya. Avidya is
Yes.
removed, right? So now you have become Ishvara. That's why they call each other Narayana. Namo Narayanaya. You are Narayan. Like that. And then, is that complete? No, you have to get rid of Vidya also. Because
Oh.
after all, Vidya is also material. Vidya is goodness. So then they practice whatever Jnana sadhanas and all that. By that, you have to destroy Vidya also. And when you remove Vidya and Avidya, what will remain? Brahman. And that is the ultimate. That is their philosophy. But there's a big flaw in this philosophy. What is that flaw?
Hmm.
But how
Yes.
can
Maybe you can raise your hand, it will be easier. Yes, Mataji, Madhvi Gaurang Mataji.
the flaw is how come Brahman get covered with uh, any of the material gunas of Vidya or Avidya like that?
Yes,
That's very difficult to explain for them.
yes. And one more point. That's correct. What you said is correct. One more point. Very crucial point. Anyone else wants to try? They're saying, because in Ishvara, see Lord Vishnu, that means Lord Vishnu, Lord Krishna, Rama, Narasimha is Ishvara. So his body is made of goodness and that is also destroyed. That means the transcendental form of the Lord is also made of Maya. When they say Ishvara is Vidya Pratibimbita Chaitanyam, to show some difference, yes, Ishvara is superior to Jiva because his body is made of goodness. But after all, that is also material. Ultimately, you have to get rid of both. So they take help of Ishvara, they chant the names, they even chant Hare Krishna, to get out of that avidya first. And ultimately, you have to destroy Vidya also. And then you become the absolute. That means there is aparad towards the Supreme Lord. There's offense towards the Supreme Lord. Therefore, Mayavadis, they will not get any liberation because of offense at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord. They're accepting the transcendental body of Krishna, of the Supreme Lord, to be material. Because of this offense, Mayavadis cannot get liberation. Rather, they will go to hell. Mayavadis will go to hell. So here in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is saying that the decorations of the Lord that Kardamuni is seeing, they are beyond material conception. They are not made of matter. And this is even admitted by impersonalists like Shankaracharya. He says, Narayan has nothing to do with the material creation. Shankaracharya is saying, Narayan has nothing to do with material creation. The varieties of the transcendental Lord, like his body, his form, his dress, his instructions, his words, they are not manufactured by the material energy, but are all confirmed in the Vedic literature. So another important point here is, how do you know? Srila Prabhupada is challenging that if the form that Kardamuni is seeing is an imagined form, did he need to practice yoga for 10,000 years to imagine the form of the Lord? Imagination, do you need 10,000 years to imagine a form? Srila Prabhupada is saying there was no point in seeing an imagined form of God after practicing yoga for 10,000 years. That means by performance of yoga, Kardama Muni actually saw the Supreme Lord as he is. So what is the perfection of yoga? The perfection of yoga is you are actually able to see the absolute truth. So in Ashtanga Yoga also, you have, there are neophyte yogis who are not able to meditate on the transcendental form of the Lord. Then they first meditate on the material form. Material form means the Virata form. But by that, when their heart becomes purified, now they see in Virata, who is the Antaryami in Virata, Purusha? Who is the Paramatma of Virat Rupa?
Garbhodakshay Vishnu.
Yes. So they see Garbhodakshay Vishnu like that. So that initially they meditate on the material form, but by that meditation, when they become purified, now they're actually able to see the transcendental form of the Lord. But by this yoga, you are able to actually, that's the perfection of yoga, when you actually get darshan of the object of your meditation. And the object of your meditation is the transcendental form of the Lord. And the process of Krishna consciousness, the Bhakti Yoga path which has been given to us, is to deliver the form of Krishna directly. This form of Krishna that we are worshipping is described in authoritative Vedic literature. It is described in Sri Brahma Samhita. Ishvara Parama Krishnaha Satchidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarna Karanam Chintamani Prakara Sadma Sukalpa Vriksha Lakshavritesh Surabhira Vipalayantam Lakshmi Sahasra Shata Sambhrama Sevyamanam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. There's a description. So this is the abode of the Lord. How do you know? You know from Shastra. How much time do we have? Almost, acha, we are almost done. So maybe, but just in conclusion, knowledge is of two types. First of all, when you say jnanam, knowledge, you know what is jnanam? Sarva vyavahara hetu jnanam. Sarva vyavahara. That means You need knowledge to do for all types of dealings. Anything you want to do, you need knowledge. Even if you want to, if somebody told you, go and get my book, you should know what is going, you should know what is a book, you need knowledge. So
Yeah.
even for something as simple as that, you have to have some knowledge, isn't it?
Yeah.
So to do for any type of dealing, any type of activity, you need knowledge, both within this material world and beyond. You need knowledge about the absolute truth. You need knowledge about yourself. You need knowledge about your surroundings. What is this material creation? Who am I? What is birth? What is death? What is liberation? Who is absolute truth? How should we get this knowledge? Knowledge is said to be of two types. One is Smriti Jnanam and the other one is Anubhava Jnanam. Smriti Jnanam means Samskara Janyam. So Smriti Jnanam you get from Anubhava Jnanam. Anubhava means experience. We don't have much time now, but there's only 10 ways in the entire creation. There are only 10 ways in which you can get knowledge. Pratyaksha, Pramanam, Anumana Pramanam, Shabda Pramanam, and there is 7 more. But these 7 can actually be categorized under these 3. Mainly you have direct perception, second is hypothesis, and the third one is Shabda Pramanam. Of these 3, you cannot rely on direct perception and hypothesis always for real knowledge. Again, knowledge, you have yathartha and ayathartha. Yathartha means as it is, without any illusion. To know a thing as it is called yathartha jnanam. But if you make a mistake, you take one thing for another, then that is not real knowledge. How can you be assured of the knowledge that you're getting if it is real knowledge every time, all the time? The source of your knowledge should be from Shabda Pramanam, and also Shabda Pramanam means statements, sentences, whether you hear or whether you read it. But that sentence should not be rooted in direct perception or hypothesis. Because people can write their imaginary stories, or they can write their experiences or what they have heard here and there, they can write. That's also book. They are also sentences. That is Shabda Pramanam. But that is not giving you real knowledge all the time. That Shabda should be free from 4 defects. Brahma, Pramada, Karana, Patava, Vipralipsa. There are 4 defects which you will find in the conditioned soul. Only that sentence, that Shabda, which is free from these 4 defects, can be accepted as real knowledge. We don't have time, but I'm just giving you the answer. That Shabda is Veda. I can actually systematically establish it to you how it is the Veda, and in Veda also ultimately the topmost Pramana is Srimad Bhagavatam. The point that I'm making here is, when we are worshipping Krishna, We are doing it on the authority of Shastra. It's not because my Guru Maharaj said it or my grandmother said it. That is within our family, it is fine. But it will not have any weight when you go outside. You have to prove it from Shastra, because Shastra, Veda is accepted. Not accepted, it has to be accepted. It is faultless, it has no defects. Even if you step outside of ISKCON, on the basis of the authority of Srimad Bhagavatam, it does not matter which parampara or any part of the world, on the authority of Shastra, you can actually prove your point. So here we are seeing that Kardama Muni got darshan of the Supreme Lord. And whatever he saw, it is exactly as it is described in the authoritative Vedic Shastra. These descriptions are authoritative. And a Krishna conscious person takes them directly, acts on them, preaches them, and practices devotional service as enjoined in the authoritative scriptures. So for us, what is our authority? Shastra. Then you may wonder, then can't we just read Shastra and become devotees ourselves? No, you cannot. Because you may understand the language, but you won't get faith in what is being said in Shastra. You can hear stories how Lord Brahma appeared from the navel of Mahavishnu, but you will not get faith in that. How will you get faith? You will get faith when you hear, when you receive the mercy of a pure devotee. Then you will actually start believing what is there in Shastra. And not just believing, actually applying it. You surrender. Applying means you surrender to the Lord. Symptom of firm faith is surrender to the Supreme Lord. Only a devotee will be able to surrender to the Supreme Lord. He will have firm faith. How he will get that firm faith? From Shastra. From Shastra. For us, books are the basis. Shastra Pramanam, books are the basis. But simply books, if somebody didn't receive mercy of the devotees, he will not get any faith in the books. So all of us have received mercy. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. We all got mercy. But after that, the next thing is, now we have to build our faith from Shastra. And the ultimate Shastra, ultimate Pramana, ultimate authority, the Chakravarti Pramana, emperor authority is Srimad Bhagavatam. So I will stop here.
Mataji, sometimes they say, unless I see, I won't believe. What is that?
That is Pratyaksha Pramana. How much can you see? Can you see what is on the other side of the wall?
Yeah.
Even if there is something, you won't be able to see. So even if I showed you, you don't have the eyes to see the transcendental form of the Lord. Your eyes are made of, after all, the external energy. With this inferior energy, how do you expect to see the transcendental form? The form of the Lord is made of Swarupa Shakti, internal energy.
Yeah.
With your eyes, you won't be able to see.
That's true.
That's the thing. So even if they challenge, that by challenging, you won't see. The way to see is, this is the way. First of all, surrender.
Surrender.
Then.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Anyone has any questions or comments?
Very nice class. Thank you very much. A lot of knowledge we have to have. So many things to know.
Yeah.
And because of
want to-
this Bhagavatam we hear every day, our faith is goes on. If we miss,
Yes,
if I
Mataji.
miss one class, I feel like I don't
Yeah.
find much interest in reading book also. Because like these classes really nice. Yeah. Thank you so much for your
Thank you,
class.
Mataji. Hare Krishna. So if there is no questions, we can end here. Thank you all so much. And thank you so much for your participation. Thank you. Granthraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Yeah.
Samaveta Gaur Bhakta Vrind ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo
Vaishnavibhyo namo
vaishnavibhyo
namaha.
Nanta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mataji.